So guys, now let us discuss an example in which we will going to see that how the parameters from the packet are evaluated against the configured access control list which the user has configured on a device. So let's say that the user has configured an access control list whose name is allowed traffic, and in this access control list the user has configured 4 ACL rules. Alright. Now let us suppose that an IP packet number 1 came in which in the IP header of the packet the protocol field value was UDP, the source address of the packet was 122.1.1.2 and the destination address of the packet is 50.1.1.1. So as soon as this packet is injected or arrived at the routing device, this packet is evaluated against the configured access control list. Alright, and this access control list would gonna say whether the packet is permitted or denied. Now if you evaluate these 3 values of the packet against the access control list, you will find that it is the rule number 2 which actually says that the packet is permitted. Rule number 1 doesn't matches with the source address of the packet, and the rule number 2 matches the source address of the packet as well as the protocol field value. The protocol field value you can say is UDP, and 122.1.1.2 is an address which belongs to this subnet address. So it means that the rule number 2 matches with the 3 parameters of the packet. Obviously in this access control list you have not specified any destination addresses in any ACL rule. It means that we don't care regarding matches the destination address from the packet with the destination address and mask value configured in the ACL rule. In other words, any field which is not specified in the ACL rule is taken as don't care. That is, always assume that those field matches with the fields belonging to the packet. So destination address 50.1.1.1 always matches with every ACL rule in this access control list. Alright, because none of the ACL rule specifies the destination address. Now if you notice, these 3 parameters of the packet when evaluated against the ACL rule number 3, you will see that even the ACL rule number 3 says that the packet is permitted, because this source address of the packet also belongs to this subnet mask, and the protocol field value of the packet matches with the protocol field value specified in the ACL rule number 3. So it means that for the IP packet number 1, both the ACL rules, that is ACL rule number 2 and ACL rule number 3, both says permit. So now the question is that which ACL rule we must honor. Should we announce that the ACL rule number 3 has permitted the packet or the ACL rule number 2 has permitted the packet? The answer is simple. We will say that the ACL rule number 2 has permitted the packet because ACL rule number 2 is more specific as compared to ACL rule number 3. You can see that the subnet mask value in the ACL rule number 2 is more specific as compared to the subnet mask of the source address specified in the ACL rule number 3. In other words, ACL rule number 2 is more specific, whereas ACL rule number 3 is more generic as compared to ACL rule number 2. So we always pick up the most specific ACL rule in case if there are multiple ACL rules which matches the 3 parameters of the packet. And this concept is called longest prefix match. We will see when we will going to discuss the algorithm in detail regarding the access control list implementation, that actually how we implement the logic such that always the longest prefix match ACL rule is selected over other ACL rules in the access control list, which also matches with the 3 parameters of the packet, but those ACL rules are more generic. So for IP packet number 1, we can say that it is the ACL rule number 2 which says that the packet is permitted. Permitted means the device is ready to accept the packet for further processing. and it will not drop the packet straight away. Similarly, when the IP packet number 2 arrives, and let's say that the source address of the packet is 122.1.1.1, so it is the rule number 1 which is the best match as per the 3 parameters of the packet. So we will say that the IP packet number 2 matches with the rule number 1 of the access list, and hence the packet is permitted as per the verdict of the rule number 1. You can see that the IP packet number 2 also matches with the rule number 2 as well as rule number 3, but it is the rule number 1 which is the most specific. You can see the source address is exactly says that the source address should be 122.1.1.1 as per its subnet mask value. Alright. Similarly, when the IP packet number 3 arrives, you can see as per the access control list configuration, none of the rules of the access control list matches with the 3 parameters of the packet. Alright. In fact, it is the source address which do not matches with the source subnet of any of these ACL rules. And it is the rule number 4 of the access control list which actually matches with the 3 parameters of the packet. Alright, the protocol field value is any, so it means that UDP will going to match with this protocol field value. The source address says 0/0, it means any source address. So if you are aware that how subnet mask works, the 0 IP address coupled with the 0 mask value means any source address. So here any source address of the packet would match the ACL rule number 4. Alright, and as per the verdict of this rule number 4, the packet will be denied. So this packet will be dropped by the device and will not be considered for further processing. So packet number 3 is discarded because it matches with the rule number 4. So here many rules in the access control list may match the given input. As I said, the packet number 2 matches with the ACL rule number 1, ACL rule number 2 and ACL rule number 3, but we care only for the best match rule. So it was the rule number 1 which was the most specific, and it was the rule number 1 which was considered as the rule which matches the packet number 2. Any field which is not specified by the user in access control list rule is taken as don't care field. So you can see we have not specified destination IP address and mask against any of these ACL rule. So it means that they are don't care. Do not bother about matching the destination IP address from the packet with the destination IP address and the mask value specified in the ACL rule. So they are implicitly programmed as don't care in the data structure. And guys, let us discuss another example. So we have an access control list here which contains 4 ACL rules. Now in these ACL rules, I have also added the destination IP address and mask as another field for filtering. Now suppose the IP packet number 1 comes. So the rule that matches as per the longest prefix match is nothing but the rule number 4. The reason is that this is a destination IP address which do not matches with the ACL 1, ACL 2 and ACL 3, and hence ACL 4 is the most generic ACL which in fact would match with any set of parameters of the packet. So IP packet 1 will match with the rule number 4, IP packet 2 will match with the rule number 2, and IP packet 3 will match with the rule number 4 again. Alright. So if you want to understand more about access control list, or if you are curious to know more about the access control list, you can always go to the YouTube and type search the access control list. It's a very common topic of discussion in networking, and hence you will find lots of videos on access control list. However, this course aims at implementing the data structure which implement access control list. So a basic knowledge regarding how access control list work is more than enough in order to accomplish this course.